Why do certain memories seem to linger endlessly? How can something as simple as a glance, a tone, or even a smell suddenly take us back to moments we'd rather forget? What if our childhood experiences aren't just distant stories, but quiet forces that influence every decision, every fear, and every connection we make? Childhood trauma isn't merely an unpleasant recollection. It's an unseen wound, engraved deep in both mind and body, shaping how we view ourselves and the world around us. As Bessel van der Kolk, a leading psychiatrist and trauma expert, famously said, "The body keeps the score." This means our experiences don't just impact our minds, but leave lasting marks on our biology. If you've ever wondered why certain behaviors repeat themselves in your life, why your emotions sometimes feel overwhelming, or why joy seems just beyond your grasp, maybe it's time to look back, not to relive old pain, but to truly understand it. In this video, we'll dive into how childhood trauma develops, its effects on our brain and body, and most importantly, how we can start to break free from its hold. When we hear trauma, we often picture dramatic events, war, natural catastrophes, or tragic accidents. But childhood trauma often hides in more subtle ways, in neglectful gestures, in the silence of those meant to protect us, or in words that taught us to question our own value. Trauma in childhood occurs when a situation overwhelms a child's ability to cope emotionally and mentally. It can arise from physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, neglect, abandonment, or growing up in a family where caregivers, burdened by their own struggles, cannot offer a safe emotional space. And the cruelest part is that the pain comes not only from what happened, but also from what should have happened and didn't. Imagine a child raised in a world where love is conditional, where affection is always mixed with criticism, and silence replaces comforting words. That child might not show visible injuries but carries profound internal wounds. As Freud observed, repressed emotions never die. They're buried alive and later return in uglier forms. Trauma never truly vanishes. It hides, changes shape, and finds new ways to surface. Some children grow up anxious, perpetually bracing for the worst, constantly alert as if danger lurks nearby. Others shut down their feelings completely, becoming adults unable to identify or express their emotions because feeling was never safe. Some try to control every aspect of their lives, desperate never to feel powerless again. Others repeat harmful patterns, unconsciously recreating the only kind of love they ever knew, however painful. This is the heartbreaking reality of childhood trauma. It doesn't just scar the past, it steals the future. Without even realizing it, we carry childhood fears into our adult relationships. We might grow into adults who constantly feel inadequate, who shy away from closeness, and who unknowingly undermine themselves. We can spend our whole lives fleeing from something we can't even put into words. Yet it's important to remember this. Trauma doesn't have to determine our fate. What we endured may have influenced who we are today, but it doesn't have to decide who we will become tomorrow. The first step is to acknowledge it. The second is to comprehend it. And the third, and often the hardest, is to trust that healing is within reach, because it truly is. So how exactly does childhood trauma impact the body and mind? If the body truly keeps the score, what implications does that hold for us? The answer might completely change how you view yourself. Childhood trauma is more than just a painful memory lodged deep in the brain. It becomes woven into the very biology of the individual who experienced it. It's no exaggeration to say that a challenging past can physically shape the developing brain, influencing every thought, reaction, and decision going forward. A child raised in a volatile or threatening environment remains constantly vigilant. Their nervous system adapts to survive, frequently stuck in a fight or flight mode. This means that even when no real threat exists, their body reacts as though danger is present. The heart pounds, muscles tighten, and breathing grows rapid and shallow. What's more troubling is that this biological wiring doesn't simply fade with time. It can stay active for decades, turning into chronic anxiety, panic attacks, sleeplessness, or even autoimmune conditions. Neuroscience has demonstrated that childhood trauma directly alters brain structures. The amygdala, which governs fear responses, becomes overactive. The hippocampus, vital for memory processing, may shrink, and the prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thinking and decision-making, becomes less engaged. This helps explain why adults with trauma histories often struggle with intense emotions or find it hard to trust others. But it's not only the mind that's affected, the body holds on to these experiences too. As psychiatrist and researcher Bessel van der Kolk put it, trauma isn't just a past event. It lives on in the present, in our bodies, in our breathing, and in how we respond to the world around us. Many adults who endured childhood trauma suffer from unexplained chronic pain, digestive issues, and persistent exhaustion. Trauma finds a way to show itself wherever it can. That's why telling someone to just move on from childhood trauma misses the profound depth of its impact. This kind of suffering doesn't simply vanish over time, nor can it be overcome through willpower alone. It must be processed, understood, and gently released. But there is hope. The human brain is adaptable. It can rewire itself. With the right support, therapy, emotional regulation practices, reconnecting with the body, many effects of trauma can be healed. The story of someone who endured pain in childhood doesn't have to conclude in despair. Suffering can be transformed into insight. The wound can open the door to growth. How does trauma get passed down from one generation to the next? Ultimately, if we were raised in a painful environment, how can we stop that pain from affecting those who come after us? Childhood trauma doesn't only impact the individual who lived through it, it ripples outward, crossing generations like an unseen shadow. The children of parents who carry trauma often grow up repeating unhealthy behavioral patterns. They inherit stories and wounds that began long before them. But if no one willingly chooses to be hurt, why do so many unknowingly transmit that pain onward? When a child is raised where love feels conditional and their emotions are dismissed or ignored, they quickly learn the world isn't safe. Instead of building a secure sense of self-worth and trust, they develop coping mechanisms to survive. Some become perfectionists, believing flawless behavior will finally earn them love. Others shut down entirely, burying their feelings to shield themselves from the hurt of abandonment. Some unconsciously reenact what they witnessed, carrying those same wounds into their adult relationships. The trauma cycle persists because children absorb more than just words. They internalize lived experience. A father deprived of affection may find it difficult to show care. A mother who endured constant criticism might project her fears onto her children. As Carl Jung famously stated, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Science backs up this transmission as well. Research in epigenetics reveals that trauma can be passed down biologically, affecting how certain genes express themselves. This means the effects of a harsh childhood may be experienced even by descendants of those who suffered, impacting their stress sensitivity, mental wellness, and vulnerability to specific illnesses. However, this cycle doesn't have to go on forever. Becoming conscious of your own history is the crucial first step to breaking this painful chain. By identifying harmful patterns and actively seeking healing through therapy, self-examination, or changing limiting beliefs, it's possible to alter the trajectory of your life and that of future generations. Trauma may be inherited, but so can healing. Deciding to stop the cycle takes bravery, but it's one of the most profound acts of transformation. Healing from childhood trauma doesn't mean erasing the past. It means learning to carry it differently. It's not about denying the pain, but embracing it and finding new meaning in it. The good news is that, despite the deep scars trauma can leave, the brain is flexible and capable of renewal. What was hurt can recover. What was broken can be restored. The very first step toward healing is awareness. As long as wounds remain hidden in darkness, they continue to shape our actions without our awareness. But when we start recognizing the patterns that hold us captive, fear of rejection, endless seeking of approval, difficulty trusting others, we open the door to breaking free from that cycle. It is in that moment when pain stops being a hidden weight and instead opens a gateway to self-discovery. Psychotherapy stands as one of the most effective resources for anyone seeking to redefine their personal narrative. Techniques such as cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, assist in reshaping harmful beliefs about ourselves and the world around us. Meanwhile, therapies like EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, can lessen the emotional charge tied to traumatic memories. Somatic therapies, which focus on the connection between mind and body, work to release trauma held within the physical self. As trauma expert Gabor Mate explains, unless we confront the wounds of our childhood, we risk spending our lives trying to numb them. Yet healing is not confined to the therapy room. Simple, consistent daily practices can help restore emotional safety. Mindfulness and meditation teach the brain to slow down, easing it out of a constant fight-or-flight mode. Physical activity helps to release built-up tension and lowers stress hormone levels. Creative outlets like writing and painting provide a safe environment to express feelings that often go unspoken. Reconnecting with the body is also vital. Those who have endured childhood trauma often learn to disconnect from their emotions and bodily sensations as a means of protection. Learning to tune in to your body, recognize anxiety signals, and allow yourself to truly feel can be a powerful catalyst for healing. Above all, recovery requires forming new, secure relationships. Trauma frequently teaches us that vulnerability is dangerous and trust is risky, but through relationships with people who treat us with kindness, respect, and understanding, we begin to reshape how we see the world. Every healthy connection offers proof that affection and safety are possible. Healing from childhood trauma is a journey, not a final endpoint. There will be good days and bad days, moments of progress and setbacks. Yet with each small step and fresh insight, something inside us reorganizes and strengthens. Our past may have influenced us, but it does not have to determine who we become. True freedom starts when we stop fleeing our story and instead choose to author it ourselves. Childhood trauma can leave profound marks, altering how we view ourselves, others, and the world. It teaches us early on that we are inadequate, that love is fragile, and that danger lurks everywhere. Often we carry these lessons throughout life, unaware they no longer belong to us. But here is a truth that is often left unspoken. What happened to you does not have to define who you are. Your past may be filled with pain, but your future is yours to shape. Trauma is not a life sentence. It is not fate. It is a painful experience, yes, but not an unchangeable one. If there is one thing neuroscience, psychology, and philosophy have made clear, it is that we are beings capable of transformation. The brain has the ability to form new connections. The body can recover, and the mind can reinterpret the narrative it once believed was fixed. As Viktor Frankl, Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, once said, "When we can no longer change the situation, we are forced to change ourselves." Healing from childhood trauma doesn't mean forgetting the past, but rather learning how to live alongside it, without allowing it to dominate every thought, every fear, every decision. It's the act of turning inward, of recognizing the lingering pain, and of understanding that beyond that suffering lies something far greater: resilience, inner strength, and the possibility of deep personal growth. The road to healing is rarely smooth, but it is real, and more importantly, it is essential, because no one should live their entire life running from something that's already behind them. We can't go back and change the past, but we can change the present, and through that, reshape the future. So the question is, are you ready to take the first step? If you've listened this far, it's likely because something in this message struck a chord with you. Maybe you've lived through similar experiences. Maybe you love someone who carries invisible wounds. Or maybe, like many of us, you're just beginning to realize that the pain we buried still lives quietly inside, influencing who we are. Talking about trauma is hard. Listening to it can be even harder. But there is something profoundly powerful in simply recognizing our pain, because most people spend a lifetime avoiding exactly that, looking within and facing what's been long suppressed. That moment of acknowledgement, that is the beginning, the most important step on the road to healing. And if there's one message I want you to carry with you, it's this: you are not alone. Whatever your past holds, there are ways to heal, to reclaim your life, to rebuild what was broken, and to discover meaning in the very things that once hurt you. Pain may be part of your journey, but it does not have to define your destination. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this message resonated with you, consider leaving a comment below. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And before you go, remember, there are more videos on this channel to help you understand your mind, your emotions, and your path forward. Click on one, and let's keep walking this road of self-discovery together. See you there.